Hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be showing you how to create a good thumbnail. And this is mostly for video games, but this can really be applied to any YouTube video. So the first thing you want to do, using Krita, it's a free software, the link will be in the description. You want to hit new file, then you want the width to be 1280 and the height to be 720. And then the resolution, I would suggest going with 610 ppi. And then you just hit create, but also make sure this, since this is going to be just for online, you want it to be RGB, and it should be already be set for that. So then you just hit create, and now you have a blank canvas to work with. Now the first thing I want to do is just remove this background layer. So you can just right click and hit remove layer, and now you just have one blank layer. And then to get a good screenshot, you want to go into your game, you want to make sure you have a good angle. This will be the picture I'm working with for my next thumbnail. And you want to leave some room for, if you have a title, you want to leave some extra space in there. And if you have like a number, right now we're going to put a number down here and a title right here. So you just want to make sure you have room, as well as I like to put my character over in this area. So I made sure I have plenty of room in each and every spot. So I first like to use GIMP. And this is another thing that will be in the description. Now you just hit file, then you hit open, and then you choose your screenshot. Now we're first going to use GIMP just to make sure that your picture pops a little bit more. What you first want to do is go to colors and then go to saturation, and then you can choose how saturated you want it to be. So if you want it a black and white picture, then you can take out all saturation. But if you want it to pop, so right now this is about normal. If you wanted to make it pop a little bit more vibrant, you can go just a little bit more and then hit OK. So now it's a little bit more colorful, the colors pop more. Now you can go to shadows and highlights, and you can play around with, you want to play around with this one a little bit and just see how it changes, especially how it changes. You can see the shadows. So maybe we want the shadows to be a little bit lower, and then the highlights, if we want, you can see you can change it so it can be really highlighted. It just depends on what you're going for your video. So now that we have this, we can hit OK. So now this is looking a little bit more vibrant, and now you want to actually go to brightness and contrast. Now these are normally the three things that I usually use just to make my picture a little bit better and make it pop just a little bit more. So you want to bring the brightness up a little bit and the contrast, but usually the brightness should go up a little bit more, especially for Minecraft pictures. So now we have this colored picture, we're going to hit OK, and then we hit file, and then you want to go to export as, and then you'll get your new picture to put into Krita. Once it's exported, you don't necessarily have to save it. You can if you'd like to, and then you go up to layers, and then you can hit import layer, go down to import, and then I usually just do import as a paint layer, and then we choose our screenshot. And it's generally helpful to have your pictures and all of your things that you're doing for your thumbnail all in one folder. And as you can see, we're going to import both of these. If you just drag and click, you can select both, and you can see before we resize it, I just want to show you the difference in color. So this is the original picture, and then we turn off this layer, and you'll see it's a little bit brighter. So it pops out just a little bit more, and it's a little bit more enticing to click on. So we will get rid of this layer. So now we have this, and I took a picture and it was in 1080, so we're going to get it to match up to where the bottom of the screen is. So now we have this to work with. The next thing I like to do is to get a number right here. Once you have it designed for one video, you can actually just import it from your last thumbnail. Also, don't forget to save your work right here. Hit the one that you want, and then I actually want these four right here. So I want to hit shift and then click, and then it selects all of them. Then you want to right click and hit copy layer, and now you can go back over to what you're working on, and then I'll just go over here, click right click, and then paste layer, and there you can see that it copy and pasted. And now we simply just want to choose the right numbers, and we have to update this because this was episode 31 that we were working on. What I've been doing recently on my thumbnails is adding a bit of a shaded border around the side. So to do that, you just click, you want to make sure it's right above the thumbnail picture layer, and then you just make a new layer. And then this is where you can start using some tools. So I use the circle tool, and then if you right click on the picture, you have all these different tools and even more paintbrushes and stuff down here, but I'll just use this spray brush, and then we just want it to be black. And then if you scroll with your mouse, you can zoom out or zoom in, and then I just click and drag it, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect because we can just adjust it. So now it has cut out a lot of this around at this area, and it's really focused now on here, but we don't want it to be as harsh as it is right now. So we can click and drag. If you hold shift, it will stay exactly the shape that you made it. If you don't hold shift, then you can adjust it however way that you want it to. So we want to make it a little bit bigger, and then you make sure you can press this and you can make sure it is right in the middle. So we have this now, and if we just hit this, it will unselect everything, and it still looks a little too dark. So now we can turn down the opacity, and we can see now it just looks like a dark day. Now this is starting to bring a little bit of shaded area, but it makes this look bright, and you can still see the whole picture, but it still focuses on this, but the whole picture is a little dark. So we want to just play around with this a little bit, pull it out, and just try to get just the corners. Usually is what I try to do. Now, as you can see, we have a nice shade all around the outside, so it kind of focuses more on what's in the middle. Now we want to add a nice little title over here, and a tip just for the fonts that you use, you want to use big bolded letters. You want to be it big enough for when it's really small that you can still read it and make it out, because people are just going to be scrolling through YouTube, and it needs to be really easily readable. And you also don't want to put too many words, so you could probably just put 2 to 3 words, maybe just one nice big one. But I see a lot of people using small fonts, and there's no outlines or anything to it. Now I'd recommend outlines unless you're going really big or adding a shadow to it. To add an outline, select the word. You can change the colors. I'm going to make it white. Right click the layer, hit layer style, and then this screen will pop up. You just want to select the last one, stroke, and it will give an outer stroke, and then you can see click and drag, and you see it has a really big one, and we want to change the opacity to make it completely filled in, and then you go to size, and we want to bring that down a lot. So just 1 to 5 is usually what I keep it at. So let's make that 4 because we want to make it bigger and we want it to stand out. And then if we want to change the text size, we can just click the text again, and we can choose right here the text size. And it's really just takes some time to play around with. I'd recommend doing all caps normally on a title, just depending on what you're going with. So now we're going to add a title, and then you can also, if you select this button again, I use this one a lot right over here on the left side of the screen, and then you can go either move it around or you can rotate it. So sometimes I like to rotate it just to put it in the corner, and then you press one of these to unselect it, and there we go. So that's how you add a title. So we're going to add a real title, and then we'll move on to the next step. We got our title, and now we want to add a background to it. So what you can do is, see the titles right here? I just go to the one right below it, and then you can hit add a new layer, which is just this plus button. Click this one, this line tool, then we have a straight line. So you just click and drag and it'll make a straight line, but we want to make sure we're using the right paintbrush. What I like to use is this paintbrush right here, and then you can select the size of it, and then if you want a specific size, you can just click the size and then type in whatever number that you want. If you wanted a box instead of a line that looked like this, then you could click this drop down menu and hit vector layer, and that will give you a perfect box. I usually like to choose a color from the video or from the actual thumbnail to make it pop out against the sky. I have made this nice little backdrop for the word dragon because there is a dragon that's involved with this. This is actually supposed to be a dragon egg that's cracked. So if you saw the last episode, you'd actually see that it was a nice little black dragon actually right behind this egg. But I just wanted to take different colors from the picture, so I got the different color reds from here, and then I have the gold colors from here. Another thing that we're going to do is to try to give a nice little highlight to the main thing in the picture. And now this is really good to do if you want something to pop out of the picture, because right now this kind of really blends in. It's hard to see, especially against the dirt. So we want to make this pop out. So to do that, we just want to use the line tool, and you want to make sure it's white or whatever color that you want to use to highlight. You want to zoom in, and you want to make a new layer as well. So we added a new layer here. We're going to zoom in and then test it out just like this. And that looks maybe a little too big, so maybe we should switch to 3, and then you just hit Control Z So it's once you get a hang of Krita, it's a lot easier just to navigate, and you can quickly do this. So now we're going to highlight this whole thing and see how it looks. See, now that really pops. And if you don't want the white lines to be so prominent, you can always turn down the opacity. I just want to say these are all just tips. I will probably tweak and change little things in the future, try out different things, but that's really what you should be doing with YouTube, is continue to try out different things, see what works, what doesn't work. You want to add in your own little flair, designs, and your own ideas. So this is the kind of thing that I've just been doing last episode and this episode, adding these nice little details. So just try out different things, see what you like, see what gets more clicks, and try out. But just keep trying to improve. You want to make sure that you do focus on the little details. And it takes a little bit more time, but now you can see this is focused on the ancient debris. Now, the last thing I like to do is add in my character. So I have some leftover space over here if I wanted to add my character. There's also some space right here if I wanted to, but we're going to find a good stance to put my character in, and then we'll put him in. I use novaskin.me. So you can just go to whatever skin that you want, and then you hit pose, and then you have a few select different poses that you can select, or you can play around and move it exactly how you want to. So now we have my character in a nice stance, and he looks like he is just making a brave pose. You want to click on photo, and then now it is the character in a transparent background. So you just want to hit right click him and hit save image, and you want to save it to your thumbnail folder. We imported our character in here, and now it's his own layer, and then you can also move this around. You can make him bigger or smaller, just depending on whatever you want. But we're going to have him stand about right here, and now we want to add another layer, and we can give him an outline similar to this to make him really pop, because right now he doesn't pop too much. He is now outlined, and he kind of looks like he's looking up, like he's seeing a dragon too. So I think this looks good. And if we wanted to add maybe a shadow, then you could add a layer below him. So you get the airbrush soft one, and then you go make it black. You want to make the size fairly big, but pretty small. And then there we go. We have a nice little shadow in place, and it's a little too dark, so we want to change the opacity. There we go. So now it looks like he's just standing there right on that path looking up at a dragon. There we go. We have a finished thumbnail ready to be exported. You just want to hit file and export. Then you just want to make sure that it is ready to save as whatever title that you want it to be. And then you also want to change the save as type. You want to change it from a Krita document, and you want to change it to a PNG. And now it will save as just a one simple picture, and you hit save, and there we go. Now it is saved and ready to be uploaded to YouTube. There's our finished product. Now I hope that this has been very helpful to you, and one of the biggest things that I would say is you want to just make sure that the main things in the picture are maybe highlighted in some fashion, and to use big, bold letters that really pop out, that are easy to read. I would also recommend adding an outline of some sort to your words. You just want to make sure that it really stands out, it's easy to read, and you want to keep trying to make your thumbnails look as interesting as possible. I hope this tutorial has helped you and given you some ideas for how to improve your own thumbnails. Comment down below what tips that you will be implementing in your next video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Well met, traveler. I did not expect you to make it this far. You have truly proven yourself today. I urge you to select this scribe of sub to be your companion in your journeys. He will prove most helpful, and if you come across any buttons of like, do smash those pesky vermin. Until we meet again,